For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. Ukraine, the U.S., and human rights groups charge Russia with forcibly displacing 1.6 million Ukrainians into Russia, which the U.S. calls a war crime. A recent report from Human Rights Watch finds forced relocations from Mariupol and other Ukrainian cities, where they're first sent to so-called filtration camps, allegedly searched, interrogated, and sometimes tortured or disappeared. On Wednesday, the United Nations Security Council held a meeting on the issue. Christopher Martinez reports.
Linda Thomas Greenfield is the United States ambassador.
Estimates from a variety of sources, including the Russian government, indicate that Russian authorities have interrogated, detained, forcibly deported between 900,000 and 1.6 million Ukrainian citizens from their homes to Russia, often to isolated regions in the Far East.
She noted the plight of children in particular, often taken from their families or from orphanages and put up for adoption in Russia. She says in July alone, more than 1,800 children were transferred to Russia. Vasily Nebenzia is Russia's ambassador to the UN. He blasted the charges of forced deportations as conjectures, invented problems, and Russia bashing.
A vast number of Ukrainian citizens are trying, by hook or by crook, to get from Ukraine to the areas liberated by Russia.
Nebenzia wants the Security Council to hold a meeting Thursday on what he calls the real threats, namely foreign states that give Ukraine military aid. Reporting for Pacifica Radio News KPFA, I'm Christopher Martinez.
Tensions continue to simmer around Europe's largest nuclear power plant, where Ukraine and Russia have accused each other of threatening a nuclear disaster by shelling near the facility. It now may cause it to lose power or shut down, warns the United Nations. Ukraine says it's retaken portions of Kharkiv. The Washington-based think tank Institute for the Study of War reports that advances come as Russian forces have reallocated to areas near the occupied city of Kherson in the south, where Ukraine has launched a counteroffensive. Belarus, a Russian ally, meanwhile has launched war games along its border with Poland. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is making an unscheduled visit to Kiev as the Biden administration announces new major military aid worth more than $2 billion for Ukraine and other European nations threatened by Russia. That's on top of a $675 million package of heavy weaponry, ammunition, and armored vehicles for Ukraine alone that Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin announced earlier. The contributions bring total U.S. aid to Ukraine to $15.2 billion since the administration took office. In the U.S., Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the Senate will vote on legislation to protect same-sex marriage in the coming weeks, as a bipartisan group backing the bill is tweaking it to gain Republican support that could allow for religious exceptions.
A vote on the respect for marriage is necessary. Millions upon millions of American women had their right taken away by the extremist MAGA Supreme Court in the Dobbs decision. And in a concurring opinion, Justice Thomas opened the door to the Supreme Court going even further. The MAGA Republicans are taking over the Republican Party, and they've made it abundantly clear they're not satisfied with repealing Roe. A vote will happen. A vote on marriage equality will happen on the Senate floor in the coming weeks, and I hope there will be 10 Republicans to support it.
Senate Leader Democrat Chuck Schumer. A federal judge in Texas has ruled coverage of an HIV prevention drug under the Affordable Care Act violates a Texas employer's religious beliefs and undercut the broader system that determines which preventative drugs are covered in the U.S. The ruling was handed down Wednesday by Fort Worth-based U.S. District Judge Reed O'Connor, who ruled in 2018 the entire Affordable Care Act lawsuit is invalid. The U.S. Supreme Court ultimately overturned that decision. O'Connor's latest ruling targets a mandate under the law that requires employers to cover the HIV prevention treatment known as PrEP. The Biden administration is likely to appeal. LGBTQ advocates say the ruling could be applied to other medical treatments. South Carolina senators are moving towards a showdown on a proposal to ban abortion and make no exceptions for pregnancies caused by rape or incest. Senators failed twice to get the exceptions back into the bill Wednesday. A number of 30 Republicans in the 46-member Senate say they won't support the bill without the exceptions because they don't want 14-year-old rape victims to have to give birth. Democrats, meanwhile, have been united against the legislation. The last suspect in a horrific stabbing rampage that killed 10 and wounded 18 in Canada is dead following his capture. One official says 32-year-old Miles Sanderson died from self-inflicted injuries after police forced the stolen car he was driving off a highway in Saskatchewan. The other suspect was found dead Monday near the scene of a bloody knife attack inside and around James Smith Cree First Nation Reserve. I'm Christina Onnested reporting for Pacifica Radio.